From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, and streaming live on YouTube, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, comedian Michael Loftus. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and NASCAR driver Joey Logano calls in. And now, he won't be commenting on the charge he used his wealth to influence and buy his mother's Chicano Studies degree. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love it when you share the show. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
Handball, Brian.
That's a lot of bushes.
Excited to talk to both our guests today. First, I'm excited that MedMen sponsored this half of the show, and Spence Jr. versus Garcia. That'll be Saturday, pay-per-view. Castrol Challenge. You can tweet us your questions. Adam Carolla Show, the hashtag Castrol Challenge. And LiveLock, livelock.com. So, we should start a segment called Why Was Adam Such a Piss-Poor Student? Because...
A segment.
Docu-series.
New to Carolla Digital.
I was
3-day-a-week podcast.
Get ready for some hot SUV talk, but I was talking Matt the Moderator SUV. I was talking some SUV talk with him. I've just been finding myself going up and down a steep driveway and kind of bottoming out my sedan and going back and forth to Home Depot a lot, and the kids and everything. And I just thought, all the rain and all the potholes and everything. And then I just thought, I want something with, I want an SUV for the first time in my life. I want an SUV. Now, SUVs used to be 2 sizes, and now they're 28 sizes. There's everyone's got a whatever. And Brian's got his BMW X3.
Now they got like crossovers. Like Gina's, you're technically a crossover,
It is
right?
a crossover.
They got everything. And so I was sort of
Half
like...
SUV, half gay.
I was like, I wonder what size. Now, I don't like the big mother trucker because it's too much. It's too much. On the other hand, I am going to Home Depot. I do need to throw stuff in the back.
Right.
I do need a little space, whatever. So I said to good Matt the Moderator, or he's just Matt. Let's call him Matt DeAndrea.
It's implied.
Neutral Matt.
It's implied.
I said, Brian's got that X3. Seems about right. That seems a good size. And then I said, I don't know if I'm into a Ford, but I feel like the Ford Explorer is a good medium-sized vehicle. It might be the BMW X3, maybe a little smaller than I want, just a little. I want to make it a little bigger, but I want the big suburban style thing. So I said, I think, just picturing in my mind the Ford Explorer is about the size I'm thinking about.
Okay.
And I've never driven one. I've never had an SUV. Lynette has the Tesla X. So it's kind of a whole different animal.
You could probably compare them all by cubic feet, of the back of the rear.
Yeah,
capacity.
and so I said to him, I said, Matt, use your smartphone. Good, Matt, use your smartphone.
Again, implied.
Yeah, and I think I just said Matt.
Okay.
But use your smartphone. Tell me the difference between the Ford Explorer and the X3 BMW. And then I said, I don't want wheelbase, and I don't want cubic feet. I just want the overall length, just overall front bumper to rear bumper. And then I paused, and I said, I think the Explorer's a little bigger. Never driven one, never shopped one, never done anything. And I said, 13 inches. It'll be 13 inches bigger. And he went and looked it up. And
I'm going to guess the story ends with you being totally wrong.
It was, I think it was 12.7, but there was
Wrong.
there was a little bit of, now again, everyone listening goes, oh, who gives a shit? But I didn't say a foot bigger, and I didn't say 10 inches bigger, and I didn't say a little bigger. I said 13 inches because I thought about it, and I've never even ridden in either one of the two cars. I just pictured both of them in my brain.
I hear what you're saying.
Of my D- brain.
You want to go for a ride after the show? I hear what you're saying. Just ask.
186 on the BMW and 199 for the Explorer. But to drill down, I think for some reason Matt said 185.7 or something. something like that. But either way, it was either 12.7. But the BMW had a little range of I don't know why. It did on his phone.
You mean like in there were models or different like configurations?
It went from 185.9 to 186.2 or something, which actually made me a little lighter.
There's a 0.2 difference. There's a 0.2.
Yeah. And the other one, anyway, the other one was like 190, whatever it was. But it was. If it wasn't dead nuts on 13 inches, it was less than a quarter inch away from 13 inches from simply eyeballing the two fields. They weren't in the room. I was just picturing them.
So how is it that none of your teachers can even tolerate you?
Sorry, 198.8.
Constant eruptions.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
That's why.
Yes.
I answered my own question.
Yes, I have no idea.
But you're such a good abstract thinker, and certain that applies in math, that applies in certain sciences.
Whatever it is I got has no application scholastically. I figured out. It has a great real world application because I was simply picturing two SUVs I had no familiarity with other than I've seen them on the road, and I was able to figure out which one was bigger and how much bigger it was.
Pretty good.
By thinking about it for 10 seconds. But in the class, that has no application. Or maybe it does now in the right school, but it didn't when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, you don't seem like an SUV guy, yet you seem like you should have an SUV.
Yeah.
You can only stuff so many tile cutter wet saws into the back of a Jag.
Don't I know it?
It's a cliche for a reason.
But it is weird.
If you want to test drive the 2019 X3, there's a Galpin BMW not too far from you.
I like it white as well. So anyway, it's one of those things that'll file under. Everyone will go, who cares? But I said 13 inches. I did not say a foot. So Joey Logano is calling in. Great NASCAR driver. I think he won the points championship last year. I think he's in second this year. It was pointed out to me, and you tell me if I should tell you that he has a haunted car.
Please.
That's all I want to know.
Don't bury the lead, man.
It was pointed out to me through Dylan that Joey, who drives for Ford, has a Ford GT, and it's a Heritage Edition.
This is a Rob Schneider movie. The ghost of Rob Schneider. And there should be, is what I'm saying. This is the ghost of Rob Schneider in the cockpit.
Yeah. Yeah. And
turn left again. Audience goes nuts.
So he has this car, and it's a Ford GT, and it's described as a Heritage Edition. Now, we saw Jeff Dunham last weekend, and he just had an all-purple Ford GT. There's nothing Heritage about that. I was explaining. You tell me in terms of decorum, my Jeff Dunham discussion with the discussion I will have with Joey Logano, and you tell me if there's any decorum issues here.
Probably.
I'll start off by start the bars raised.
Comedian Jeff Dunham has a very purple Ford GT. And he said, I think it's the only purple Ford GT. And then somebody said, Graham Rahal, son of Bobby Rahal, famous driver, drove for Newman Haas and is in the documentary, uppity and blah, 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 blah. Real nice guy. Somebody pointed out that he had a purple Ford GT as well. But it was a different shade. Okay. And so I said to Jeff Dunham, look, you both drive gay-colored cars, but your car's the top, and Graham Rahal's the bottom. Now, you got to feel good about that if you're Jeff Dunham or no?
I think if those are your only options, I guess he would probably take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Well, what other options would you have?
I guess
not calling either of their cars gay.
Well, that's off the table.
Okay. So in as much as you're compelled,
the window's closed on that. There was a window for that. It's closed.
It's painted shut.
So now that's on the table and not off the table. Oh, no, that's off the table.
Yeah.
It's on a different table, but it's not what we're sitting
it's not reachable.
at. Not from where we're sitting. So now what? Huh, Einsteins?
Your hands are tied.
What do we do now?
Yeah.
Obviously, I had to respond.
Right.
I had to make his car homosexual. Now what?
Yeah.
But I made it the top.
It's a hell of a conundrum.
Yeah.
It's one I'm sure many people have found themselves in.
I feel for you.
All right. So now, in the decorum interview the guest department, what is going to be worse? the Jeff Dunham discussion about his car being a top, okay?
Sure.
Or the one I'm going to have with NASCAR King Joey Logano, which is he has the Heritage Edition Ford GT. His Heritage Edition, sometimes people think of the Heritage Edition as the Gulf orange and blue or something, but in this case, it's black and white. Well, that Heritage Edition, black and white, is one of the Ford GT40s that won Le Mans from back in the day.
From the documentary.
That's
Yeah.
the
Cool.
Heritage Edition. But his Heritage Edition is the one that Bruce McLaren drove. He's the one that Bruce McLaren beat Ken Miles in by sort of cheating when everyone had to slow down
Right.
and was given the win because he was
berth.
parked 17 feet further back. So it's a Heritage Edition of a car that probably should have come in second instead of first, but because of a technicality, won the race. Ken Miles dead 7 weeks after that. Bruce McLaren dead 1 year after that. That's a haunted car.
Yeah, that's a car that has some history, some heritage,
That's heritage.
unfortunate heritage.
That's a lot of that's car heritage. Car heritage.
I would
Car
We'll
heritage.
work it out. We'll work it out.
Yeah, either way, it's going to be a show on Discovery.
I'd personally rather
Jane
be,
Mansfield, Starlet,
Car heritage.
the belle of the ball,
James Dean, top of the
James-
world.
James Dean.
Biggest star in Hollywood.
Right. Until.
right.
Sorry.
I'd personally rather be accused of being gay than accused of being dead.
Given that those are your only choices?
Yeah. So that's something to think about.
I didn't say he was gay. I said his car was gay.
Understood.
I'd rather be accused of being dead than being gay because proving I'm not dead is much easier.
The power bottom rankings.
Much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'll bring that up with him. But it's an interesting heritage
Yeah.
to choose because that car won on a technicality, and everyone the guy who got screwed died, and the guy who was driving it died.
I got a stupid question for Gina. When they come out with these heritage cars, do they come out with a number of them to represent the one car, or is it a one-to-one thing? Like there were 4 of these, and there's 4 heritage cars.
I didn't think you'd get the note I passed you from so far away.
I could barely read it, but
The way they will normally do this is they'll have a production run of 1,000 cars over 4 years or something, and that's why everyone has to write an essay and wait in line and get approval and have Jay Leno vouch for them. And,
love
and
John Cena.
blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's why everyone does that. Then they'll have X amount of heritage cars available. Like maybe they'll do 20 out of the 1,000 or whatever it is. And sometimes you can order them in that color, but they'll usually go like, we have this many heritage cars. And then at some point when the car that cost $500,000 is selling for $750,000, the heritage edition will be $1 million.
Okay. Yeah,
And
okay,
so
sure.
It's all about sort of the group and then the smaller group
Yeah.
within the group
Subset.
and whatever it is we're talking about, the subset, whatever it is we're talking about, whatever the collectible is, the less
Bumps.
the better.
Gina, you feel like you understand now?
I'm getting there. I might have another question later, but I appreciate in advance
Let me
you
know if
asking
you have
it
another
for
question. I'll feel free.
All right. Also, so we'll talk to Joey Logano about that in a second. I will tell you guys. Now, I've been very resolute about trying to keep my New Year's resolution of doing stand-up every week alive. But there's been something might be insurmountable. You tell me. So here's my thing. My thing is I said I was going to do this, and I'm going to do it. And I've had everything in the world thrown at me scheduling-wise as to the reason not to do it. Last week, I was up at 5 in the morning doing a radio tour. I was driving to Bundy and do whatever. I've had to do 5 shows with Drew in like one day or whatever. And
You're chock full of NyQuil for some of them.
almost every week, Matt, not bad Matt, just Matt. Matt says,
What are we, like 10 for 12?
no, we're every
Oh.
I've not missed.
I didn't know if you were sick or something.
It doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying.
It
You
doesn't
still
matter.
win.
Every single week, something has come up, it seems, or you go. And then Matt goes, I don't think you want to do it this week because here's what you got to do that day. And I go, F it, I'm doing it.
I try to be the little angel on your shoulder and be like, come on, guy, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, Matt's laying on a futon, eating a sandwich, and he's patting the space next to his. Going, hey, buddy,
Just take a seat.
I got
Space
half
open.
a BLT here for you.
I was
come
just
on.
sitting here. It's nice and warm.
Just take a seat. Yeah, it's like he's like that thing, it's like when you're driving and falling asleep at the wheel and you're starting to have a dream that you're just stretched out on a hammock. That's Matt. Matt's
Yeah.
going, come on, over here. Water's fine.
What could it hurt?
They call me the seeker of pleasure for a reason.
Oh, he's a seeker of pleasures, a punisher of porcelain. It's got a lot of range. So Thursday, today, as you hear this, my schedule is I have to catch a 7 a.m. flight out of LAX, which means I must be at LAX at 6 a.m., which means I must leave my house at 5:15, which means I must be up a little before 5. Also, in keeping with my pledge, it means I'm going to be in my pool in the backyard when it's dark outside and freezing, but
Brisk.
I'm
Ew.
doing it.
That's ew.
All right, and
And by the way, what makes you think you can get to LAX from your house in 45 minutes?
because it's the
It's
middle of the
pre-dawn.
night. It's
Okay.
because it's 5 a.m.
Okay.
If
That's
you,
that
God
can
love
be
ya.
done.
you tried it at 8, you're screwed.
Right.
You leave at 5,
You'll be
you'll
okay.
make good time. So I said to Matt, they want to do some more radio tour stuff or not Taco Bell material. And I said, well, Matt, I'm going to be in my car for 42 minutes, so line it up for that. So theoretically, we've lined up some radio on the ride in, and then we get there at 7, and then, we get there at 6, and then we leave at 7, and then we go to Texas Stadium, and then we do some reporting over there, and then we get back out of Texas at like 4:30 and the time difference or whatever it is, and then we land at LAX at 6, in which case you'll not be able to avoid any traffic on the way back. Now, that's going to be an hour and a half back. And if I'm park my car there, get to my car, get out of the plane, get to the car. If I get home by 8, it'll be a good thing. Now I'm scheduled to perform at 8:30, so that'll just mean I'm completely gassed and I get home at 8. And I said, I'm doing it. I'm going for it. I got a streak. I'm keeping my streak alive. We've not missed a week. And
Hoping for a social media moment.
Matt
Fall
said-
off the stage.
yeah, it's hard when you're really sleep deprived,
'cause that's
whatever.
rough,
but
man.
I said, I've not missed a week, and we're not going to miss a week. So
It wasn't a racial tirade.
now I tell the guys
No,
if
something out of the ordinary.
Understood.
That's what I'm hoping for.
if there's a Adam Carolla can't make it here. Michael Richards, you're right on the stage. Come on now, Mike. So I said, now tell them if the flight's delayed or something, I'm not going to be able to do it. But if everything runs right, I'll get home at 8. I'll slash some water on my face, and I'll turn around, and I'll leave, and I'll go to the ice house. And Matt preemptively struck. Matt had done the math on the day, probably tried to save me from myself, and told those guys it wasn't going to happen this Thursday. And I said, call them and tell them to undo what you did. We're making this happen. And then he said, when I talked to him today, and when I want to know, is this good enough? He called back and he said, you can only do 10 minutes because they made their schedule and they would have to bump somebody. And at that point, I said, screw it.
Right.
I will miss a week. When do you guys come down?
No, that's fair. You did everything you could to get on that stage, and I like the spirit of not wanting to bump someone, because the chances are someone's there on what is this going to be Thursday?
Yeah.
They're there because they want/need to be there.
I think we can all thank Matt for his window of negligence on
That's
this
right.
one.
Well, he was his heart and ass was in the right place, I think.
I believe you said to me, I appreciate you coming to my defense, but next time, let me decide whether or not I should kill myself.
I meant that literally. Yes, I do. In my journey, I do not get pissed off when either someone makes a mistake or is looking out for me.
Yeah, you made the effort. I agree.
This is
Yeah.
a little bit each, and that's fine. And I do explain to them, but don't do it that way next time. All right, so I shall miss my first week
Completely acceptable.
of the new year. I know.
That's
but
a long.
best.
That's a long day, man. It's not
And-
like you're taking time off to to do something,
Right.
or to do nothing. It's a long day.
And in order for this to happen, every single thing has to go off without a hitch.
Well, that is true. So it's possible that with delays and whatever, it's possible to not do it anyway. But anyway, all right. So I shall be missing my first.
So you failed with the New Year's resolution.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the
what I got
lead.
out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, but we'll be well into March, and I started in the beginning of the year, so we'll see.
And let's say that the Sunday live show might have preemptively made up for it because you were up there. You
That's
did
a
an
good
hour and a
point.
half in front of a crowd.
I like where your head's at,
Yeah.
Gina
All
Grant.
right.
You got earned credit.
On the way to the Peterson, you guys tell me if it's happened to me 2 times in about 4 days, and it's creating a global anxiety with me, and you guys tell me what it's doing with you. And another thing we need to do around here, these parts and all parts when it comes to traffic. I was, following the ways, driving through the homeless encampments and driving from my house to the Peterson Museum. And there's that move where you're going down Melrose or whatever, and it's like, you're going to turn left on Rossmore. And they have a left turn arrow, and you're 6 cars behind, and you're sitting there, and like, oh, the signal's red, signal's red, signal's red. And then all of a sudden, arrow green. And you're sitting there, and nothing's happening. In that lead car, it's like you're going like, I get that there's an effect. Like this car goes,
Right.
then this car goes,
You
and
can
this
time
car
it.
goes. But you're sitting there 6, 7 cars back. You're looking to the left. That thing turned green a little bit ago, and I'm not seeing the first car. I'm not seeing the first
There's
car
no motion.
move.
Yeah.
There's no motion, and like you're sitting there, and now there's this wave of anxiety, which is, oh my God, are we gonna have to cycle? Are we gonna have to cycle this again? And the whole thing is, I would go for it if I got up there, but the ass wipe in front of me is not gonna go for it. So it just could be, and I'm like, why is it a 8 Mississippi before the first car goes, and second place car, get on that horn.
Yeah, that's up
get
to you.
on it,
You're the
dude.
co-pilot.
It's funny you mention that because I've experienced this. I've thought about it. I've processed it, and I've come to a conclusion because this happened to me since we moved into our house in 2011. We've had a red arrow right in a place that I go every single day, and I have the same thing where it's like, all right, we're a good 4 to 5 seconds into this green arrow, and no one's moving to this stack of 5 cars. So I do the thing that probably would have driven me nuts 10 years ago, but now has to be done. As soon as the light turns green, just
Yep.
a little. Hey,
Wait,
and
yeah.
it works.
Now,
and it works. I don't lean on the horn. It's go,
Yeah, I get it. I'm 7 cars back.
I do. I'm whatever. No matter how far I am.
I'll get on it too, but
Or
it's
pass
like
along the
at
message.
7 back. It's going to take a while to telephone that up the chain.
It's because they're firing off a quick email and they're
there's
not
a lot
paying
of
attention.
Phone activity.
I'm going to say, I'm going to offer up something else. I'm going to say we have a perfect storm of, if you drive around this town, there is something different. There's a new offering at almost every intersection. You go to Pasadena, it just blinks yellow the whole
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Oh, and I saw that going to the Peterson. I saw it like in West Hollywood or something.
You go
Like
good.
some areas trying to adopt the other stuff.
You go to other places, it'll be light green, arrow green. You'll be other places, it'll be light red, arrow green.
Yep.
You have to process everything because there is
There's no
no.
uniformity,
No, none.
uniformity.
Yeah, you don't have to process a red light, a green light, and a yellow light. But if every intersection just sort of picked their own combo, oh no, in this one, yellow means stop and green means,
It's like driving in Europe. You're like, what?
Yeah.
I kind of know what that means.
Right.
The
so,
red flashing light.
So you're looking at a red light, but the arrow's saying go,
Yep.
but in your neighborhood, that light should be green,
Yep.
and now there's a process moment. And we got a bunch of happy cops writing chicken shit tickets all the time, so everyone's sort of scared to make a move. So there's I'm going to sit here and process this
That's way more
move
depressing.
that's going on times a million because we don't have any consistency in this. But either way, person behind the person, please honk.
You're deputized.
Please honk.
Yeah.
And this notion of, I don't want to be rude. Guess who you're being rude to? There's 7 people behind you that want to make it. You're being rude to them. And also, You're not being rude.
You're not the rude one.
We've been sitting there,
Yeah.
and now it's green. The person who's not driving is being rude.
You're no more rude than you are if you're the second person in line at the bank, at the ATM, at the Chipotle.
Yeah, going, "Hi, they're cashier's
Yeah,
open."
someone's looking on their phone. Just tap them on the shoulder. Hey, man, they're ready for you.
Right.
That's not rude.
And what
Thank
are the
you.
odds that you're going to get if you do the tap and someone wakes up all of a sudden? Do you get a hey thanks wave or an F you?
You should always give the wave.
I know, but I'm saying, what do you receive more as that
Sally's
person?
50-50, I'll bet.
Either way, let's do it. And in second place, and we need to institute this because I am telling you, I've slid into that very vulnerable 5, 6, 7 slot, and you don't know how much arrow they're going to give you, and there's high anxiety that you're going to get cut off. And there's two ass wipes on the road. There's the person that sits there for the 4 to 7 Mississippi before they make a move, and it's like, we're not going anywhere. Then there's this guy. There's the guys like in the number 3 slot who kind of doesn't want you to make it in the number 5 slot. Like, I will tap the brake once, and then I'll very slowly work my way through this intersection. I'm going to leave 7 car lengths between. No, would you get on it? Get on their bumper. You bump draft like Joey Logano does.
And don't you assume that no matter what's going on with traffic, 3 cars, always 3 cars get to go through that left.
Oh,
if
that
you're the
would
third
be-
car and you stop, you are a massive asshole.
I would love to just up the non-arrow cycle to 3 cars.
Yeah.
We could do 3. Man, with today's electric car technology and instant torque, you could easily get if those 3 people were woke, you get 3 of those people right on
awake.
through.
Awoke.
Woke. That's what
Okay.
my button on my lapel says. Woke.
Woken.
Yes, if they were woke, you could easily do it, and it'd be one of the many things that the city could institute to alleviate
Great.
that don't involve adding lanes to the 405, but they're not interested. Yes, Dawson.
One simple thing they can do is just create awareness that when you are taking an unprotected
It's
left,
a wokeness, but go ahead.
wokeness. It's most people. This bugs the hell out of me when people do not get into the intersection to take
Yes.
that left turn.
You gotta
Oh,
scooch.
the
You
worst.
gotta
The
get
worst.
in
Scooch
there
it up.
or you're screwing everybody.
The worst. And again, my theory in life, not interested in that person. But it is funny. Now, and I'll tell you what I'm saying. When you see that person and you see there's like some gray hair and a bald spot, and you go, that guy's 62. And they're stopped. And you're like, how long has this person been driving this
Yes.
way?
There's a lifestyle at this point.
And obviously, they're in their 60s.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're from somewhere else, but they've been in the city ostensibly for many years. What's going on? Never blame that person. Never blame that person. I want to choke their spouse. I want to choke their spouse because
crime.
if I went on a ride with Lynette and that was her move, I'd be like, "Hey, sugar tits,
Sweetie?
get the hell no, get
You reach
out
over,
there."
lean over, and press
Yes,
the
I
gas.
would. Like I'd go like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And
You
she'd go,
failed driver's ed, and you know this.
Right, like I stop here. Like, no, you don't get in the
Yep,
intersection. And by
always.
the way, I will coach up the kids. So if they're in the car and I'm not, they will be yelling at the back of your head. So get out there. And so, look, that person's insane or high on bath salts or whatever. Where's the spouse?
Yeah.
Where's the significant other?
It's a good question.
Same again. It's my turquoise ostrich cowboy boots. Like you're not leaving the house.
Without those,
It's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's her fault.
Right.
Do not be leaving the house.
Yeah. Can I make one more observation that I only know because I now know it personally because I have a placard for like another 2 weeks because of my foot, which is awesome. You know when people are really, really bad drivers and you pull up a little bit and you see that they have a hanging handicap placard on their mirror? Yeah, those are easily taken down so you don't
You're
have
not supposed to drive with
8
those.
inches of by what 4 inches of windshield completely blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
Why
kind
is
of a.
that?
it
You're not supposed
is-
to create blind spots for yourself.
Thank you. They're not for driving. They're for parking. Everybody.
Yeah, Captain Ron has more visibility. I mean, what's his
Snake
name?
Plissken.
Snake Plissken. All right, Joe Logano's on the line. Let me tell you quickly about MedMen 2019 just started, yet history has been made already. The new normal is here. Have you seen this video? You got to take just 120 seconds and watch this video. It's a short film. It's only 2 minutes long. It's the new normal. Seeks to leave behind 80 years of unjust prohibition in favor of a safer, happier world. And I'll tell you all about the famous director who directed it after you see it, or when they tell me it's okay. You can watch the video and experience a new normal at medmen.com. Go to medmen.com, click on that vid, and also find out where some of the locations are near you. It is an inspiring symbol of the counterculture, and it is long overdue. Go to medmen.com and check out that video at medmen.com. All right, Joey Logano's here. I'm going to burst his bubble on his Ford GT. Joey Logano.
What's happening?
Hey, man. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. I know you're running at Fontana this Sunday at the Auto Club 400 at Fontana. That's this Sunday at Fox. I've run a few vintage races there, but you guys are staying on the oval the whole time, not going into the infield, right?
No, we're staying out there on the big track and carry a bunch of speed. Honestly, it's one of the most fun racetracks to go to. The surface is worn in real nice, so it wears the tires out quick, and the car starts sliding around quite a bit. And the track's so wide. You've been there. You know how wide the track is. You can go anywhere out there, so it's a lot of fun for us drivers.
Are you just sort of flat out the whole race in fifth or sixth, or do you lift, or are you even in fifth or sixth? Is it just four? What do you got?
We only got 4 gears in there, so that's just the rules that NASCAR has. So and our cars make quite a bit of power, so we're able to kind of power through to where we don't need much gears. But you gotta lift a fair amount there in Fontana. This a racetrack, like I said, the corners are the asphalt's wore out. The corners are pretty flat. There's not much banking, and you get those long straightaways. So when you get there, you gotta figure out how to slow her down a little bit.
It's crazy. I mean, we're just watching the Daytona 500 a few weeks ago. It's crazy, all the carnage and all the crashes, and how the thing that's crazy about NASCAR is their proximity to one another. When you're going 200 plus miles an hour and their car 2 inches to your right, 2 inches to your left, right in front of you and right behind you. That's to me, I think that's what makes it different than other forms of racing. Would you agree with that, Joey?
Yeah, you play this aero game. When you're around other cars, you may think it's just a draft when you're behind a car, but when you're beside a car, you're able to dump a lot of air off your nose onto their quarter panel, onto their rear spoiler, and add drag to their car. So you get this side draft game going. And then you get into the corners and you're looking for clean air. You're looking for have no one in front of you because you're looking for all that downforce and all the grip. So, different parts of the racetrack where different cars are, you constantly have to be aware of where your competition is and what they're thinking. It's kind of like that high-speed chess match we talk about sometimes. Is you got to be in the other drivers' heads and kind of know what they're thinking and know where their cars are strong and really have to study it. Because you're right, we're so close and we're so aggressive, and we have to be able to be successful.
I'm guessing I've never thought about this, but I'm guessing that like a pitcher reads batters and batters study pitchers in baseball, you see who's around you and you kind of know their tendencies. I know from doing vintage racing, some guys are really reckless and will do sort of crazy things, and other guys are a lot more measured. You have to constantly read that, right?
Oh, of course. And you kind of know certain drivers, and there's certain tracks they're better at than others, and they'll do certain things. And you bring up the Daytona 500, and when you go there, everyone realizes how big of a deal it is to win the Daytona 500, and no one really cares about having a solid finish. It's all about winning or nothing. So that's why you see these huge crashes, right? Because everyone's just going for it and making these moves that may not be the smartest, but it gives them a small chance of winning the biggest race of the year. So, that's why you see some of that in those type of races. So you keep that stuff in mind. You keep in mind the type of moves that some make. You study films. You study other drivers. You study your own stuff. The driving game is changed a lot over the last, 15 years or so from when, the drivers would work on the car physically. Now it's, you're 100% focused on how do you become a better race car driver, not a better mechanic. And you're really focusing on, working with your engineers and how you make your car faster and race other cars better.
You must have gotten started in karting. Everyone seems to get started in karting. What was your path?
Yeah, I did quarter midgets instead of the kart. My mom liked the roll cage and the seatbelt. She wasn't a big fan of that without the seatbelts in them. So I started there, and I ran to these Legends cars and ran local late model races, and just kind of kept moving up through the ranks at a fairly early age. To when my first cup race was over 10 years ago now, almost 11 years ago now. So it's been a fast-paced road to get here, and been able to have some fun and have some decent success now here. It's taken me a while to get to that point, but it's been able to have some fun with it now, and be able to keep racking up some trophies.
We were talking before you got on the air about your Ford GT Heritage car, black and white Heritage car.
Yeah.
How much about that car do you know? Because I know a lot about the Heritage version, or the actual car it's based on.
Well, I know it's fast. That's kind of all I need to know.
Yeah. Do you know it's haunted?
It's a Ricky Bobby
It's
moment.
haunted?
It's cursed. Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, that car, because I did a documentary on Ford versus Ferrari, and actually they're going to do a new one that's coming out with Matt Damon and Christian Bale, I think it is. But that black and white livery was the livery of the color of Bruce McLaren's car that won the race in, I think, 66, and it ended up beating Ken Miles' Ford GT or GT40, although they told everyone to slow down so they could get the three-way photo finish, and that's where Ken Miles got jobbed because he was well in the lead and ended up losing by 17 feet because his car started further back or further up in the grid. Either way, Ken Miles was dead testing at Riverside 7 weeks later, and Bruce McLaren was dead within a year. So it's a haunted car. Joey, get out!
I don't know about all that.
I don't know what you're laughing about, dude.
That's fine.
It's haunted. And
Laughing all the way to the blood bank.
his car was number 2, and yours is number 22, which is twice as haunted.
Twice as evil.
I feel like it's better. That was the one. So when I was ordering the car, so you got to put a 22. I said the 2. I get the Heritage. It's cool, but it's also my teammate Brad Keselowski. It's his number. That's what he races. I'm like, I can't drive a car around with my teammate's number on it. So they gave me a VIN number 22 with the 22 on the side, on the inside, and all. So it made it pretty special. It's an amazing car. I don't think it's haunted. All right. I think it's just a really
Cursed,
cool car.
whatever.
See you on the slab.
I'm just saying, don't get near it.
I'll look now.
Don't look at it.
What else do you have in your garage?
Oh man, I've got some random kind of unique things that I like to drive around. But one of my favorite cars to drive, I have an old Model T, and that is, I feel like I'm going 120 when I'm going 20 in it. And you know how those cars are. Your pedals work completely different than a street car normally, and then your throttle's on the steering wheel. So it's a challenging car to drive. But it's kind of a fun piece. But I also I got a water car. I don't know if you heard of a water car.
Oh, the Amphicar?
With James Bond?
It's like the modern day version of the Amphicar. And,
there's a modern day
version. It goes about 45 mile an hour in the water. So that gets everybody's attention. It's hilarious. So that's a good way to beat traffic, which is nice.
Yeah, it's
Cut through the LA.
Homes on that side of the
you
river.
literally can just drive into a river and drive into a lake. No, it's interesting because I talk to people. I guess everyone always wants to know how fast you're going, right? I mean, it seems like the lay person goes, how fast you going in that race, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I always tell people, well, if you fly commercially, you're going 550 miles an hour and you have a drink in your hand and you're watching Paul Blart too. Like
Stumble the restroom.
you don't have the sense of speed,
Right.
even though you're going 550 miles an hour. And like if you're at Fontana, what is your top speed at Fontana?
Top speed in the Fontana is about 212 to 215, just kind of depending on track conditions. So you're booking along, and I can't say you really get used to it. Like you get a little bit more comfortable, But when things go wrong, that's when you realize you're going really fast because you can't stop. That's usually when you notice how much speed you're carrying.
What is the fastest track on the circuit?
California is up there, but Michigan is our fastest track right now. A similar layout to what you see at Auto Club Speedway, but it's repaved. So you have a newer surface that just brings in more grip.
How do you like the road courses?
I love them. And that's one of the things I love about NASCAR racing is that we have to learn, so many different disciplines of racing to be successful in our sport. You have to be good at road courses. You have to be good at, short track type racing, mile and a half, super speedways, like at Daytona or Talladega. So, you have to figure out how to win at all these tracks, and it takes something different out of the driver, but it takes something different out of the car as well, and being able to figure that out, constantly every year, how it's a little bit different, if the rules change or your competition keeps getting better and you got to keep staying up with it. That's a fun piece that I think NASCAR has, that you get to do all these different disciplines where it's not just road racing every week or just running mile and a half every week. You can do a little bit of everything. I
got to say, I always think about driving at the Fontana Speedway in the sensation of speed. So I drove a Datsun 510 there a few times in a vintage race, and it's got, first off, the rims are 13 inches. They're like miniature little wheels. And you'd get up to like 133 miles an hour or something, and but you're in a shit box from the early 70s. It's a tin can with miniature wheels on it, and it feels like someone pushed you down a hill in a shopping cart. Like, it's a crazy sensation.
It's like riding a buffalo in a Jeep commercial.
Of speed, yeah. Like, it just feels crazy because of what you're in. So
Right.
it's all about the sensation that really makes the difference. Panini trading card sweepstakes. What do we need to know about that, Joey?
Yeah, so Panini's come up with this awesome sweepstakes where if you buy any of their Donruss cards, it has a code in the inside of the pack that you can go onto their website and be able to put that code in to win a sweepstakes to go to Daytona 500 and get a VIP experience next year and be able to, I'll take you through the garage, show you the car up close, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's cool to see fans first time seeing the cars up close, whether it's a longtime fan or a kid that's just starting to watch, and they see all that stuff up close. Their eyes light up, or the first time they see the cars go down the straightaway going that fast. It's just such a cool experience. So something really neat Panini's doing. So you can get those at Target or Walmart at their website. They're all over. So they're definitely it's a cool thing to be involved in for me.
Well, good luck, Joey, coming up out in Fontana, and that's Sunday. That is this Sunday. That'll be on Fox. It'll be all Club 400. Real quick, you guys show up. There's not a whole lot going on in Fontana.
Dare you?
I'm being as kind as I can, but you guys will show up. Like, what's the quick thumbnail sketch of the schedule? Practice one day, qualifying. How does it work?
Yeah, so we get on the racetrack Friday. We'll have a 50-minute practice, and then we line up that afternoon for qualifying, and that's Friday. And then Saturday we have a couple more practices to work on our race trim setup, and then Sundays line them up and race. So it's kind of our weekly schedule. We kind of go through a very similar thing at each racetrack.
There's so much I like about it, and I'll tell you guys about one of my favorite things. Joey Logano, thank you very much for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. You guys have a good one. We'll see you soon.
I love simplicity, super effective simplicity, and I've spoken about it before, but one of my most interesting things is the race cars were set up to, when they're going forward, to have thousands of pounds of downforce if they're moving forward. But at 200 miles an hour, if they got spun out or spun around, they became the opposite. They became a sort of airplane wing.
Right.
And air is insane because those cars weigh, I don't know what they used to weigh, but they used to weigh 3,300 pounds. And as soon as one got spun around, it got airborne. Go right in the air. And it wasn't even a wing. I mean, it wasn't an airplane wing. 3,300 pounds. Anyway. Just go backwards, airborne. 3,300 pounds. Just whoop, going up in the air. And the car's, it's only 5.5 feet wide, and it's not even supposed to be a wing. It just got going the wrong direction.
Right.
And it was obviously insanely dangerous to be going backward at 185 miles an hour and then start going airborne.
Start launching.
But not only are you going to hurt the person who's in the car, but you're going to hurt the person whose car lands on or the crowd that gets hit or whatever it is. And they're like, and this went on for years. It just went on for years. Like the car was arrow one direction, down force, other direction, up force, in the air. And it just went on and went on and went on. And at some point, somebody just installed 2 pieces of sheet metal, just size 16 by 16, just thin gauge sheet metal, and like a little piano hinge in the front. And they just stuck it to the roof of the car, and they just sat there. They don't get activated. They don't get anything. They just sit there. And when they're going 200 miles an hour, they just lay flat on top of the roof. And the second they go backwards, the flaps come up because the air hits them and lifts them, and they disrupt the air, and the car comes right back down.
Thank God somebody thought of that.
2 pieces of sheet metal.
My
That's
God.
it. Just on the roof. Like somebody said, after 30 years of this happening, somebody said, what's happening when the air travels over the roof? It's like it's creating lift.
When did those come into vogue? When did those sort of come into play?
They, as I recall, they probably kicked in, I'm going to say about 20 years ago. I don't remember seeing them much more before that. Or sometimes things will come in, some piece of equipment, like half the goalies in the NHL will wear a mask,
Right.
and then the other half don't. And at some point, they just make a rule that everyone needs to put a mask on. But those disruptors, and the thing that's funny is when you see cars sliding around and starting to get backwards and getting a little sideways, you see like the little flap like on the roof go, and then it'll kind of come back, and then they'll come up again. But it just completely eliminated this problem over just literally. It's a piece of sheet metal, and they just paint it the same color as the car, and you can't even probably tell when it's sitting there. It probably has a limiter, like it can't come up that high and flip over.
Defeat the purpose.
Right, but it just comes up, and you'll see whenever these cars get backwards at 190 miles an hour, you see these things come up. Completely eliminated the problem. But they had to live with this thing for like 30 years, and then somebody went, well, what's going on here? And they just went, all right, let's have the flap come up, and then I'll disrupt it, and now it's problem solved.
Well, this is insane though, because it's not like some a rule in football that's just aggravating. People are dying.
Well, okay, that's a good point. So my follow-up question then is: this technology has existed since the Greeks. Is it like when the helmets came into hockey and the old timers were like, I'm not wearing that shit, that's for pussies. You know what I mean? There was a grandfather thing where like you were less of a man if you had to wear those. You know what I mean? Did one smart guy get in NASCAR and say, hey, you idiots, put this on your car? Or more likely, was it a kind of thing where for decades guys were like, I'm not putting that in my car, that's for sissies?
I think it was an element of, it's always my ball turret. The ball turret existed in a B-28 or B-29 or whatever the hell it was. That technology of a ball turret in the belly of that thing existed in the 40s. If you see race cars from the 50s, no roll bar. So you couldn't come up with a piece of metal tube that was a little bit higher than the guy's head, than the likely chance that this car's rolling over. And it was your puss.
That was my punch.
And all you're doing is adding weight. You're not making us go faster. So everything is sort of, not everything, but most things are like, how are we going to go faster? How are we going to go faster? And you go, let's strap this sheet metal to the roof. It's like, that's not going to make us go faster. That's just going to slow us down when we're going backwards.
Right.
Yeah, so I think there's that. I get you on the helmet and the roll bar and the hockey helmet. I've always kind of felt that way, too. This is weird because it shouldn't be
It should be neither here nor there. Just simply a life saving.
I just don't think they came up with it, but Max Zapata will figure it out. I don't know. I'll tell you guys, buy you a little time, Max Zapata. Spence Jr. versus Garcia. It's got a pay-per-view this Saturday night. Don't miss the biggest pay-per-view fight of the year. Two of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world put their perfect record online. Some go, some blow, and somebody's O has got to go. Errol, the Truth Spencer Jr.
You improvise that?
I think I took two I already had and just made a peanut butter cup out of them. Errol the Truth Spence Jr. takes on Mikey Garcia for the world welterweight champion, live from AT&T Stadium, which is Dallas Stadium. Had one of my insane conversations with Mike August about that. I'll tell you that in a second. Garcia's moving up 2 weight classes to face Spence in a fight that was he asked for by calling him out on social media. They're risking it all. A perfect record will be broken. Spence versus Garcia Saturday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, live on pay-per-view. You can order now. I said to Mike, we're going down to Dallas Stadium. We're going to be, where are we doing our broadcasting from? We're going to be down on the field? And he goes, oh, we probably won't be on the field. And I go like, well, what? Oh, you don't think we'll be down on the field? And he goes, oh, they got to put the ring there. The ring's 18 feet.
20 by 20 foot ring.
It won't be bigger than the star in the middle. There's still plenty of room.
There's going to be a lot of, seating down there.
We got to put the ring down there.
He's not wrong.
Well, now the field's off the table. You got to put the ring down.
He's not wrong.
Mike, the ring is it's 20 by 20.
Yeah.
It's a postage stamp
Right.
in the middle of a football field.
So naturally, you'll be in the parking lot.
Yeah, well, we'll be down at a Pizza Hut, like down in Fort Worth or something. I don't think we can get anywhere near the field. Not with that ring. We'll be pulling into the parking lot and hit a turnbuckle that's hanging off the side of the ring and scratch up the rental car.
Then where are we?
That's where they put them.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike. I didn't think they put the ring on the roof or in the locker room. I understood it's on the field. I still think it's a valid question by asking whether we're going to be on the field. I live in a world where we could be on the field and the ring could be on the field.
Lofty.
Which would be funny is the
He taps Jerry Jones on the shoulder. You know what you could do.
the first 4,000 most expensive seats will be on the field.
Right.
Thus, I think we could get down there on Radio Row, but that's just me. Max Pat, did you find anything?
All I'm seeing is that there was a huge crash in the early 90s. And after that, NASCAR's like, we have to figure out something. And they got a group of engineers together to make the roof flap
Right.
in the early 90s. But I'm not seeing anything of why it took them so long. Or
Oh, that's just because we're simultaneously the smartest people in the world and the dumbest people at the same time, oftentimes living in the same skull. Like it's like it is 25 years of cars flipping over and in carnage. Or you're upside down in 1978 and your tornado. You're in big trouble.
Right.
Big trouble. And they didn't have the safety equipment, the seats, and all that kind of stuff. 15 cars went airborne between 91 and 93. It's a lot of 4,000 pounds of steel to be in the air amongst in close proximity of other cars and pit guys and crowd members and everything. And what do they call those things?
roof flaps.
Oh, well, there you go.
Technical.
We need a name for this.
And when did they
We need to
become
name these roof flaps.
uniform? Was it like 93, 94?
93.
93.
Yeah.
From 93 on, all cars had it.
Yeah.
So I guess it's been a little while, but still, NASCAR's been going around since the 50s, and now be
Well,
true
every
of
airplane
40s or whatever.
Every airplane has the flaps. You know,
Right.
like the technology has been around for God knows how long.
Yeah, it has. Now that's
Or the basic concept.
yeah. Well, the flap. There's the flaps that go down for landing. That's just anyone who's flown remote control planes. I'll just tell you, when you put those flaps down, it adds this sort of cushion underneath you. Like it brings you down. You picture the air going whizzing past versus like the up flaps are to slow down and the down flaps are to add that
Cushion.
for that landing. But Oh, yeah. They were testing in wind tunnels. They were testing in wind tunnels in the 80s. Why didn't they turn the car around once, just push it in backwards?
Because they'd fly in the air.
Yeah, it would fly in the air. It's so solvable. Anyway, the Max Pat will show you. He'll show you a clip of one of the cars. You look at Joey Logano's, you look at the 500 where there was a big 21-car crash, and you see those cars all spinning out. You'll see all the flaps lifting up. Anyway, just one of those simultaneously dumb and smart kind of things.
Glad they finally figured it out.
Yeah, because it added almost no weight to the car. It added almost no aero to the car. It added almost anything, and worked 1,000%. The cars just never go airborne. Never go airborne anymore.
Smooth.
You got to take. Yeah, there it is. Just goes up, stops the car from going over. Oh, they add them to the front too.
Yeah, as long as they don't create any drag. Add a bunch.
All right, so that's that. Let's see. Our guest is here too. We'll talk comedy with Michael in a second. First, let me tell you about. Let's see. What else we got here? Pizza, car crash.
He's daydreaming, folks.
I'm just trying to figure out what I want to get to. There's a New York Times article. Get to it. I'll get to that tomorrow. Let me tell you about Casserole Edge. You can tweet us your challenge questions at hashtag Casserole Challenge with the question for your me over here. Brought to you by Casserole Edge. Formulated with fluid titanium technology, reduces friction, maximizes engine performance. Three times, fool! Stronger against viscosity breakdown and leading full synthetics. Casserole Edge, you got a question, Max Banner?
Yeah, G. Bonier on Instagram wants to know hashtag Castrol Challenge. In your opinion, besides the Miura, what was the best car Lamborghini made?
The best car Lamborghini ever made. Well, I'll go novelty and tell you guys that in the 80s they made an LM 250, I think, the truck. They made a truck. They made a truck back when sheiks were chic, you know. It was like a oil sheik would drive this truck. It was a super truck before there were super trucks. It was a Lamborghini, had a Diablo 12-cylinder, 550 horsepower engine in it. It had special Pirelli tires that had a rail on the side so they could drive. It was meant to go through the sand desert at 150 miles an hour. And the guys would get them with like bulletproof glass and, ejector seats and stuff like that because it was the richest of the rich, upper left, richest of the rich people would buy these super Lamborghini trucks.
I feel like I've seen these. Are there like imitation ones out there?
There's
nowadays?
sort of versions of it, but not really clones. But I mean, they would put turrets. They'd put like a 50 caliber machine gun on the back and stuff like. Well, you have to realize you're a very rich person living amongst very poor people and a lot of warring factions and tribes, right? So what you want is fast and sort of sturdy and possibly even a gun as you go through the desert. And that's where the LM2, 002, sorry.
They were bespoke for sheiks.
Yeah, there's a few. LM stands for Lamborghini Militaria, but like military. They were like Lamborghini made like a military thing, and they're crazy, and they're from the 80s, and they didn't make that many of them, and there's a few floating around here, and they're all $350,000 now, I'd say. So thank you, Casserole Edge, and thank you for making me rack my brain and not go with the Countach, because any other podcaster would have gone with the Countach.
Every other podcaster
would have gone with the Countach. Yeah, it's a weird piece, right?
Yeah, it's very odd.
All right, let's see. Not Taco Bell material. You can rent it or you can purchase it. You can get it at Chassis, 2 S's and Y, or Amazon or iTunes. And we're also doing a screening out here at the Cine Lounge, Arena Cine Lounge. That's in CNN. That'll be Sunday. I'll be there as well. If you haven't seen it yet, you can come on out and say hi. It's 6:15. Go to adamcarolla.com or Fandango and get your tickets. Michael Loftus, comedian, producer, and writer, is going to be in here in a second. We'll do that right after this.
Yeah, marriage is hard, you guys. Marriage is very hard. And if you've been married for like a year and you're like, Todd and I love each other, and we Eskimo kiss and snuggle rub and hold hands and soul gaze, you shut the hell up. I hate you. Yeah, I'll kick you right in the throat. The first year of marriage, that's you don't know shit. The first year of marriage, that's like apple pie, right? That's like the apple pie. Yeah, I love apple pie. And I can eat a lot of apple pie. But after 7 years of apple pie, apple pie, apple pie, apple pie, I want to bang an Asian girl now.
Michael Loftus on the Adam Carolla Show.
Good to see you, my friend. There's the Deplorables tour. It's coming up. Lots of dates coming up. And you're conservative. It's a conservative comedy tour.
Yeah.
I just found that out.
Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do it.
Are you?
His name is Jeff Foxworthy.
Are you welcome?
well.
I know.
Are you? I was just talking off the air with Dylan, and he said you're not welcome in some of these outlets, some of the news outlets and things of that nature. Do you find that's going on?
There was a couple of theaters. There was a joint in St. Louis and a couple of other cities that they were like, we don't want you. We don't want you here. We're like, we'll rent the space, we'll do the tickets, all that. They're like, nope, you're not welcome here.
What is I'm finding this more and more. Obviously, everything's being sort of supersized, and everyone's politics are on creatine. But this notion of it turning toward comedy feels like I'm taking crazy pills. Like I would have thought, like, well, politically, here's how it's going to work. Politicians are going to fight. One side of the aisle is going to fight the other side of the aisle, and then they go, but when will comedians be caught up in the there is a...
It's called politically correct.
Right.
It's politically or not comedically correct.
Right. There's a Donnybrook that's going on that I feel like comedians should have never entered that bar and picked up the first bottle or bar stool and thrown it, but somehow the comedians are now somehow at the tip of the spear in this movement, and I can't understand it. I know Jay Leno just got into some trouble with Al Roker or something. The reality is the Jay Lenos and the Jerry Seinfelds and the guys of that nature are kind of conservative leaning, but they're quiet about it because they don't want their career damaged. So they're just like, I'm kind of staying away from this subject because I don't want my career, I don't want people coming after me, and I don't want it to hurt my career. So they're conservative in the way they lead their lives, and they're probably conservative people, but they don't want the label of it because it'll negatively affect their career.
They certainly don't work it into the act on purpose.
No.
I think that's how most comedians are. Like legitimately, I think Hollywood is full of people who are very conservative. I mean, think about moving out to L.A. It's like the most capitalistic thing you can do. Like, I'm going to go out to L.A., I'm going to try to be a star, I have a talent, I'm going to rely on myself and no one else, and I'm going to go and make it. But yeah, the people are terrified of coming out of like, okay, I don't think big government is the answer, because you will get ruined.
Well, it's also the problem with that as well is in a world with no nuance or shades of gray anymore, you're no longer allowed to say, as I've always said, like, I don't care about gay marriage or who gets married. I don't care about pot legalization. I don't care about many subjects that are very liberal. I don't want my taxes raised. I do want the border secured. And that I do believe two parents make for a better home. And all of a sudden, I'm Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And so you can't even make those kind of sanity. You cannot make sane comments anymore.
You get pushed into it. All of a sudden, they're like, "Yeah, you're a weirdo. You're a right-wing weirdo," and you can either stand up and go, "Yeah, I guess I am," or "How did I get dragged into this?"
But there's sort of an interesting phenomenon, and I've never really had this thought. But if you said, "I live in a neighborhood, and there's a certain amount of my neighbors are zombies, and I'm worried. I fear for myself.
Okay.
I fear for my family. I fear for my community because a certain number of them are zombies, right?
You're in dangerous territory right now.
All right.
Right now,
if
you're
I
in danger.
said that, and then, and I said, and I'm fearful. I'm fearful, and I worry about my neighborhood. I worry about my future. I worry about the future of my children because there's a certain amount of zombies living in this neighborhood. And then I saw old man Drucker across the street,
I hate
and
that guy.
he was going out to the corner to get his trash cans, and I went, that guy's moving slow. Oh, he's a zombie.
Must be one of them.
He's a zombie. He's definitely a zombie. And then I'd go talk to him, and he'd go, I'm not really a zombie, although I don't move real fast. And he'd go, aha, I get it, zombie.
That's exactly what a zombie would say.
Do you like flesh? I like cow flesh. Flesh
that's
is.
enough.
You said flesh.
Yeah.
You said flesh.
All I
You
heard
said flesh.
was,
all right,
I like
zombie. Okay, so now what am I doing to myself psychologically? I've now added another zombie to my neighborhood when I didn't have to.
That is
The
correct.
thing I claimed to fear so much, it was going to ruin my life and ruin my kids' future and ruin the community we live in, I added another one. Why would I do that psychologically if I really thought that guy posed a threat to me?
Because you're undead phobic.
Yeah.
That's
And will
what's
be
going
labeled
on.
as such.
It's an interesting thing. You turning me into a conservative or turning me into a racist is a huge waste of your time. You're just creating more of the thing you're worried about when there's nothing to worry
But
about.
then you complain about how big the problem is. You
Right.
start going, oh, look, that guy's a racist and he's Hitler Youth. And, that guy might be his friend, so now we can count him as racist Hitler Youth. And so then it's guilt by proxy. And then you're like, oh, my gosh, half the country's racist Hitler Youth. We got to do something, you guys. We got to tamp down on them.
By all means, when you see somebody eating the flesh of another, label them a zombie. But
Until then,
You guys hear about this new caravan of zombies that's coming from
they're
Central
coming
America?
to the border.
Central America.
If you are a zombie or an arsonist or a racist, but you never eat human flesh or start a fire or discriminate against everyone, well, then so be it. You're a dormant zombie.
Yes.
And I, by the way, I don't care about you because you're one that doesn't participate in zombie behavior.
Vegan zombie.
You can be
You're
a zombie
vegan
in your own
zombie.
home. As long as your zombie stays on your side of the fence and doesn't interfere with my zombie behavior.
I have labeled. It was funny. I labeled my son once when he was about 7 or 8 playing basketball. He'd sprint down from one end of the court to the other. This is apropos of really nothing, but he'd sprint from one end to the other. But then when he got to the other end, he wouldn't play defense. He'd like sprint all the way down, and then the guy'd run right past him and score, and then he'd sprint back the other way. And then
basketball.
Little Vince Carter in your hands.
I labeled him a vegetarian cheetah. It's just like, you'll run your ass off, but once you get to the gazelle, you don't eat. All right, now I'm getting
I was
hungry.
going to say.
So, Michael, you've when a theater, I find this bizarre because I feel like the theater should just take your money and
Yes.
unless there's something we don't know about you, or like I feel the same way with like need tons of security for Ben Shapiro. I was like, he's a mild-mannered Jewish Doogie Howser. Like, you don't need a bunch of security for Ben Shapiro.
You don't, and I don't understand it either. And it's like, as soon as I think I have my head wrapped around the problem, right? Because I did a talk show, independently syndicated little talk show, a few years ago, and everybody's you're gonna get sued because it leaned to the right. It was I was calling out hypocrisy and idiots on both sides of the aisle, but because it was perceived as leaning to the right, the bigger stations wouldn't take it, smaller stations, yada yada. But we never got sued. We never got boycotted. Everybody, kind of dug it. So this last year, I went out with a very similar type of show, bigger budget. Had a wonderful producing partner. This guy's famous. This dude's in movies, has produced a ton of TV shows, and outlet after outlet told me we can't pick up that show because it might. We love you. We love the idea of the show. We love the concept. We love everything about it. But it's going to be perceived as being friendly to the right, and we can't put it on the air. So there's no room for dissent.
What I don't get is we were talking about cars earlier. I've been a sedan guy, but if people want to drive SUVs, That's their business, or pickup trucks. I don't have a feeling. I have a feeling like I'd like to drive the car I'd like to drive, and I will, and then I don't want to prevent you from driving the car you want to drive. I don't care what car you want to drive. I suppose if we were sitting at a bus stop together because both our cars were in the shop, and I was talking to you, I guess if you said, I'm a sedan guy, I'd go, oh, I'm a sedan guy too. And we might have some common ground, and it might be a more enjoyable 11 minutes. But if you just said, I drive an SUV, I'd go, well, good for you.
Yeah.
I have no inclination about stopping you from driving it. And that's the part that feels weird to me. You want to watch Tucker Carlson, you watch Tucker Carlson. You want to watch Rachel Maddow, you watch Rachel Maddow. I would sort of suggest watching both. But what's the impulse where each side wants the other to stop? I thought we liked that.
I don't
part
think
about
each
America.
side does want the other side to stop. Like I don't want to silence Rachel Maddow. I don't want to silence anybody on.
Well, they don't like. Obviously, they don't like each side, but I don't. It's also kind of a weird. You have to look in the mirror. Like if you say, I want to go back and I want to bust this person on some old tweets, or I want to get picture. I want to get a picture of Al Franken who's goofing around in a C-130 and get this guy shit canned, or I want to get Tucker Carlson screwed because of Bubba the Love Sponge. First off, everyone stop and take like a look in the mirror. Like, really? What? Really? You got kids. How old are you?
Yeah.
What do you want to say? You know that part where they're talking about you at your eulogy? He was a great man. He would go into tweets that were 9, maybe 11 years old.
He would thread his tweets.
He would find tweets. Sometimes you stay up till the wee hours looking for tweets, and then he would find those tweets, and then he would represent those tweets. It's like, is that really? Don't we want to say you hiked the John Muir Trail or something?
Yeah.
Took a deep dive into somebody's tweets?
You invented a new engine or something, but like not the guy who, he spent his life digging through old tweets, taking them out of context.
I had the same thought about the recent Captain Marvel controversy, where people were like going on Rotten Tomatoes before the movie came out. Are you guys aware of this?
Yeah.
So
I'd heard about
people, not really, people are going on to Rotten Tomatoes before the movie came out. 58,000 people, rating it, giving it a negative review, bombing it before they ever saw the movie, of course, for some vendetta. I don't know what it is. I don't care. But my thought was, imagine learning that someone close to you, someone you love, a good friend of yours, was one of those people. Like, oh yeah, I spent all day Friday leaving bad reviews for Captain Marvel. How quickly did that relationship be over?
Pretty cringy.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Who are these people?
I don't understand.
What's in it for you?
The review in general. Like, I don't even understand any review. Like, I'm going to carve out 11 minutes of my life and either praise this or...
Baldy's coming up tomorrow.
Look, I see my stand-up special on iTunes, and I read the reviews, and I enjoy reading the positive reviews. I'm glad people do it, but I'm saying just the notion where, they used to have that suggestion box at the restaurant you were never going to eat at again or whatever, and people free out that little thing. Just the notion of that, just even the participation part, I don't get, much less the trolling part of it.
I have some sort of vendetta against this movie, this character, this whatever, and so I must dedicate, hours of my life to this.
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
then your opinion is completely null and void, because if that's why you're doing it, then nobody cares about you or your opinion.
Well, you're not convincing anybody. Like,
right.
Oh, wow.
That's what I mean.
It's and also, as members of society who do not participate in this, we don't have to bite on every lure that gets dragged in front of our big old bass mouth. Like, we don't have to bite on everything. You can sort of keep walking if you like. Everyone should have enough in the family, friends, neighbors, job, career department. Everyone should have a full enough docket that they really don't have to bite on everything.
When you find yourself writing a review and you don't work for some kind of giant outlet, there should be a checklist you have to go through. Right? Like, did I do my laundry? Have I hugged my kids today? Have I participated in life?
Yeah.
Do I really have the time to do this?
Yeah, you should have to do 5 push-ups in between syllables or something. And
run around the block.
Yeah, at least you'd get a great workout. Yeah, and it's also a world we're living in where movies are going to have 100 5 stars and 50 1 stars, and we're living in a 3 and a 4 land, but There should never be that many 1 stars, but that's where we're at. And I don't think it's serving us. I once told somebody, it was the great, it was Teresa Strasser. We're doing the morning show, and she was upset over something like Jack Silver called her sugar tits or something or whatever. She was upset over something.
Some minor offense.
And she called me and she just goes, I'm going to send him an email and I'm going to settle his hash and whatever it is, program director. And I said, let's just let it go. Just keep moving. And she said, no, I got to fix this or I got to straighten him out or whatever. And I just said, if it doesn't make you money and it doesn't make you happy, don't hit send. Like, don't do it. Don't think about it. Is it making you happy? And it's like may be scratching some weird itch that's not a bad, that's not a good part of you. But is it making you money? Is it making you happy? Bad reviews on Captain Marvel or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's not making you money. It shouldn't make you happy. If it does make you happy, you need to readjust. You need to recalibrate.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who need that recalibration. I think that there's a lot of people who it does make them happy. They're like, ha, send, victory.
But that is not happy.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a weird, it's almost schadenfreudy. It's sort of like a tornado blew through and your house has been destroyed and you're happy to see that the house across the street is destroyed, but does that really make you happy?
No.
And if it does...
I'm not saying it's a lasting happiness. Sure, it's fleeting, but I really, like, you look, that's what the internet's done. It's given everyone a voice. You know, look at me, I'm offended. I'm offended for you. You didn't even realize you should have been offended, but I'll be the voice that leads you.
It's crazy how bad we are just beneath some very small film of veneer that was keeping this society in one piece, and it's been ripped off like a Band-Aid, and that turns out everyone is horrible. It's just weird because we seem to go through society for a long time thinking everyone was fine, and then we just a little barrier to entry. Much. No, all it takes is a computer, and they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
to make
dig it.
Also, should there be a vast difference, like, I don't know, if you're in a parking lot and you back into a car and dent the quarter panel of that car, should you have a vastly different mode depending on whether someone was standing there and watching versus nobody watching? Like, should you have two totally different reactions? Like, one is,
No.
I'm
Thank
out.
God.
And the other is, oh, I better stop
Yep.
and leave my information. Why should you be so different?
Yeah.
Why don't you just have one mode?
You still got to live with you.
Spike Lee, do the right thing mode.
Yeah.
Not that he would do that.
That would be great. But now actually you have 3 modes. You have, like, should I get out of here? Should I leave a note? Do they have cameras?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there's like
The camera thing is, again, we should know that there are cameras everywhere, and we don't act like it. All right, let me tell you quickly about LifeLock. Reduce your risk of becoming a victim of tax scams. Don't log into bank accounts or unsecured Wi-Fi networks. Don't prepare and file your tax returns on public computers. I don't like people who use public computers. I feel like I'm paying for those public computers. Get out of the library.
Let alone for a tax refund? Oh, they're getting paid to use the computer.
Paid. And remember, the IRS employees will not mail you. Do not click links in emails claiming to be from the IRS. There's so many ways cyber criminals can take what's yours. Good thing LifeLock Identity Theft Protection adds the power of Norton Security to help protect against threats to your devices you can't easily see or fix on your own. If there's a problem, their agents will work to fix it, but there won't be a problem because you have LifeLock, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock with Norton Security can see threats you might miss. On your own. Go to lifelock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock. Use promo code Adam for 10% off your first year. That's promo code Adam at lifelock.com for 10% off.
You can get tickets for the Deplorable Show at deplorableshow.com and see when they come to a town near you. We got, let's see, Cincinnati and Portland are on the list. I'm looking here.
Columbus.
I think the Schnitzer Hall, I think, played that place in Portland. It's a beautiful theater over there. I'll tell you what, we'll take ourselves a quickie break, and we'll come back with Michael and do some news right after this.
with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad. Trouble in the Middle East. Celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
So there is so much more coming out today on this crazy college scandal scheme craziness.
Put it
so
in my veins.
I am just going to give you everything that is just sort of was bombarded online this morning.
Now,
There's
this
a few
is
different
us.
facets.
This is us just loving it, but there's no. I mean,
It affects almost none of us.
I'm trying to think how outraged I am. I'm always just pissed at my own parents. Like, there's no way Dad would have cut a check for me, and I never even took the SATs.
That's the thing. For you, you have to be so deeply heartbroken that no one would ever go to these lengths for you.
I'm one of the few people I know who's never taken the SATs.
I didn't either.
Oh, you never took?
Well,
How
you
many
have
went to
to.
college?
Because in the University of Kansas, if you're a Kansas resident, you are admitted to the school.
Even if you're dope?
Yep.
Wow.
Especially,
Same thing with
if you're a
Ohio.
dope. Really?
Ohio State.
Well,
Back in the day, they're like, we got to take
Did
it.
you have a special dopey entrance? Like, welcome
Kinda.
idiots,
You
coming
know
down.
what, though? Honestly,
Welcome buffoons.
honestly, I really.
Higher door jams for the dunce cap. You got to accommodate that dunce
It's a
cap.
cutout triangle.
Yeah, it's a triangle cutout. Right.
I will tell you personally, socially and emotionally, I didn't think I was ready to go off to college. I just wasn't. And a lot of people I knew didn't go. And I thought, you know what? I can go a half hour away. I can try this and make this work. And I loved it. But yeah, I wasn't the kid that was like, oh my God, I want to go to, Berkeley and I don't have the grade. I just wasn't ready for all of that.
But you have to graduate high school.
Yes.
And other than that, you have to carry some kind
Probably
of
a certain
GPA,
minimum.
right?
Probably. I mean, I wasn't a moron. I knew I didn't have to take it.
Man.
How dare you?
All right.
All right.
This scam is the craziest thing ever.
I'm
Yeah.
loving
Is
it.
the craziest thing ever.
I have facets of this story that are you just strap in because I have like 3 pages of this. So TMZ, first of all, reports that Felicity Huffman knew she was a target of the federal investigation in the bribery scandal, but she had no idea that 7 federal agents would show up at her door Tuesday morning with their guns drawn. Sources familiar with the arrest told TMZ that 7 FBI agents showed
Roger
up.
Stone's got to feel a lot better.
Yep,
right now.
at Hollywood Hills, 6 a.m., weapons out.
This thing where we have to do it in the pre-dawn hours or whatever, and we
we
have to
don't.
all show up with
Yep.
our Uzis. Like, it really, well, we got to, it's a show. Well, there's 2 things they go, well, listen, we have one standard mode for showing up at people's house, and that's full raid on fucking Entebbe. And it's like, you got a middle-aged actress. Could you
Yeah.
dial it in a little bit? It's like, no, we have raid on Entebbe.
Well-
we have Hueys in the air. We have Marines sliding down zip cords. It's like, why don't you tailor make it
Yeah.
for every suspect so
Yeah.
that we would have a little nuanced difference between the Science of the Lambs guy who had the pit with the senator's daughter in
Bill.
it, and then the middle-aged actress from
nice.
the Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
Could we do?
With William H. Macy and 2 daughters sleeping.
Why don't we do that?
That'd be
We're
nice.
allowed to do that. Can we not do that?
Well,
No,
the
you
FBI.
gotta go full on Entebbe.
Full Entebbe.
I want frogmen in the pool.
I think they know what a badass William H. Macy is. Oh, probably not.
They did say that it's up to the FBI's discretion.
Well, this is my whole point. Like, when you go, what do you want to do? And they go, well, let's go full raid on Entebbe. Let's get the flak jacket,
Yep.
the grenade launcher.
So they took her to a federal building where she was processed by marshals. The indictment claims.
Also, don't we know where you live? Like, couldn't we send you a summons?
Yeah.
Are you going to start a new life in Mexico? Like, hey, start building the El Chapo tunnel. I'm getting plastic surgery. I'm going over there. I'm going to be the star of Univision. I got my Berlitz taped. Let's go.
Telemundo.
Get the mask, get the duffel bag, get Kardashian, and oh, wait
AC.
a minute. Hey, get AC in the
Collins.
Bronco, and let's go. Like, we know where you live.
Yeah. It shouldn't
Come
be
on
this-
in and surrender
Yeah.
yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
so because this happened to Felicity Huffman, Lori Loughlin got wind of this, from Aunt Becky from Full House.
Also,
Yeah.
why do I even need you to surrender yourself? Like, this was a transaction. I'll send a few guys by at noon, make up a pot of coffee, and they're going to take some notes. Like, we want to know what
And they're going to tell you, we're on to you, you're in big trouble.
right.
That's it.
Oh no, this goes way
Let's hear it.
deeper. So then Lori Loughlin ended up turning herself in Wednesday morning because she was lucky enough to be shooting in Vancouver when they swatted her house and pulled her husband out of the house. And she said, I'll be there. I'll come in on my own. So now Lori's husband, Felicity, both out on bail. Now, about this guy, about this ringleader, his name is William Rick Singer, and he's basically the guy behind this $25 million college scheme that has worked with more than 750 families.
Okay, so that's my question. Why is everyone? I understand the salacious part of the celebrities.
It's the Robert Kraft whip into a frenzy.
Yeah, focusing on Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, but like there's well, to your point, Michael, there's probably a lot more like CEOs and just rich people and just a lot more.
And Singer himself will get into that in a moment, but he pleaded guilty in a Boston federal court to racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. He said on a phone recording to the FBI.
Racketeering. I'm filing it under casualty and garnishing your wages for something that sounds cool. I'm a racketeer. He's the king of the handball. The court's king of the racquetball. Like nobody.
Are you a raconteur? Are you a conversationalist?
I can be about my racketeering.
You want me to serve, or you want to serve? You want to volley for serve?
I'm a played tennis
racketeer.
Decades.
Sounds like a sort of part 3 musketeer and
mouseketeer.
It's something.
Marvel's the racketeer.
Yeah.
It's very swashbuckling.
Sounds better than it is.
It is.
I shouldn't be here. I'm a racketeer.
He said
Let me out of this cell.
He facilitated a side door to admission for 761 people.
Jesus.
He's 58. He faces a maximum of 65 years if convicted. But I think he might be very ego-driven because he said, I am absolutely responsible for this. I put everything in place. I put all people in place and made the payments directly. He's taking full responsibility, but it does kind of seem very showboaty. Yeah. So there's more, and we kind of went into that yesterday. But now here's something else that showed up on TMZ today. TMZ just posted a video of Singer, who he pulled all the strings in this massive case, auditioning for his own reality show back in 2010, a reality show on the pressures of family trying to get their kid into colleges. So he's been doing this for a while. TMZ obtained the audition tape, which was shot by a production company, submitted to a network. It was never sold. Nobody was into it. As TMZ reported, Singer copped a plea. He faces all these charges. This is a 2.5-minute video. I'm just going to let you watch until you're sick of it because it's pretty entertaining.
Is there such a thing as these two actresses and nobody else in the community? I feel like everything.
760 families. That's a long shot.
I feel like there has to be other notable people.
Because I
in
think
this group.
everybody is terrified now in this community.
How did these two names? Did they
in.
release all 761 names?
No.
I was going to say because that's insane that no other name would be notable in some other aspect of business or something.
Right.
All
And so for and there's a little bit more, but like say and remember when you asked specifically about how they were getting in as athletes?
Mm-hmm.
So I read another article that said there's a lot of photoshopping. There's a lot of staged photos. They allege that Lori Loughlin's daughter was going to take fake pictures as the coxswain for the crew team at the LA Mariners Club or whatever. They photoshopped people's faces onto different athletes' bodies.
That's brazen too, because Lori Loughlin's daughter is kind of well known.
Yeah,
like
she's like a
YouTube star. She's like an influencer.
Well, at a certain point, isn't it less trouble just to join the goddamn crew team? When you start getting into, we had to go in front of a cyclorama that we rented from. We went on to the Disney lot in Tampa.
Balls all over my body.
Yeah, I was suspended with cables.
We had a green screen. We hired Industrial Light and Magic.
Or you just join the goddamn crew team.
Earns a crew scholarship.
I saw some kid today had his head photoshopped on a pole vaulter.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
what happens when you show up? You guys might have got into this yesterday, but it's like, what happens when you show up and it's first day of pole vaulting?
Well, that
practice?
was part of the problem. And they're claiming, and I guess I get it. I mean, you watch enough TV or you know a certain type of person. Most of these kids didn't know this was happening. When it was just about changing their grades later, that was on the parents.
That's my thought. To your point about Adam, about like how much trouble is this worth? Like at a certain point, it's just all about the parents. Like the kid doesn't care if they go to Yale or whatever. It's like the parent. It matters to the guy in business. Like my son's going to Stanford.
I'm thinking about my own scholastic career and my parents and what possible tampering could have happened, but since my grades were so low, they could have only lowered them. So remember I started the show by saying, why was I such a bad student? I'm so bright.
Maybe you were such a bad student.
I think my parents may have rounded down.
Yeah, they were down-rounders.
Jim Carolla, I did see him snooping around the school at lunch one day, and I was very suspicious.
Getting chummy with the dean.
Yeah.
I believe Adam got a D on this paper.
Looks like a B to me, Mr. Carolla.
It has an envelope. That's a D.
Jesus. Sounds like heavy change in here, Mr. Carolla. Those are mostly quarters.
Indeed.
Well, did you indeed with a indeed? Yes, I'll turn that indeed into a D. Thank you very much. Oh. By the way, tell the missus the brownies were delightful at the open house.
So check out this audition
sorry.
tape. I mean, again, we can watch as much as we want, but he's been doing this for quite some time.
This is a game. Just realize that this is a game. The things that I see on a daily basis are amazing what's going on in people's homes across the country. My name is Rick Singer. My job is to life coach kids and families through the whole process of getting into college. It's unbelievable. It is so competitive to get your kid into school today. Everybody loves their children, but they don't like them every day. And mom and dad are over here just stressed out. We want it done now. This is how you do it. This is who I want you to see. And the kids are like, whoa, this is my life. This process brings out all the good and a lot of the bad that goes on in families' homes.
He's not going to do well on the joints.
Absolutely.
No.
Saturday night, it's an amazing night. Why? Because mom and dad go to a dinner party. They hear about every kid who's getting into this school, going to this summer program, doing this, doing that. Sunday morning, my phone rings off the hook. Why? How come we're not doing this? I heard this kid has a 3.4 and they're going to get into Harvard. How come we're not doing this and that? They're out of control. They wake up their kid at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning saying, come on, we got to go.
All right, I've seen enough.
Yeah, he talks about how he's constantly being flown around on private jets and settling family disputes, and I guess he just found a way to make a better mousetrap.
My list of guys I can't hang with, guys that explain things or games that aren't games. Like if you say basketball's a game, I'm with you. I go, dating? It's one big game. It's just a game. It's a game, and you got to play it right. Like
there's rules to the game.
Getting into Brown or Yale, that's a game, and you got to play that game. Like those guys always bother me because they're sort of doing a thing which is I know more than you because it's a game, and you don't know it's a game.
Right.
And I have
You're
to
taking
explain
it
to you.
seriously, but
but it's a game.
And it's kind of cousin to the other guy you hate of, he's going to screw you. You try and screw him
Try to
first.
get him.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great movie someday.
It's going to be a TV movie. It's not going to be a blockbuster, is it?
It's going to be a Lifetime miniseries,
If I, Tanya was a blockbuster, this has potential.
Is he the new Jordan Belfort?
Oh, this would be a great Leonardo DiCaprio character.
Yeah.
I would love to. It's going to be fun to see who comes out on this, and it's perfect timing because we're so into the haves and the have-nots, and you're using your power and your wealth, and this is how it works.
This is Molly's game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is essentially Molly's game.
It's
Great movie.
Yeah, it's perfect, but at least Molly's game was rich people gambling their own thing away. Like I'm weird with the law. Like I'm not interested in her. I'm not interested in these people. But we have a theme, and the theme is these have-nots over here can't get ahead because these folks who have everything are hoarding everything and they're rigging the system. And everyone is like, or you could just get to work and shut up. And now it's like, we have proof. They're rigging it. Yep.
I had the same thought as you about what are they in trouble for? The Felicity Huffmans and the Lori Loughlin's of the world. What are they actually in trouble for? I heard a story that they would part of the machinations of their scams was they would make these outlandish charitable contributions that were de facto payments, and then they would write off these non-charitable as charitable. So there's some sort of fraud there.
And the human fund on Seinfeld, where that money was going was to the coaches and to the
as a de
deans,
facto payment.
and to the exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
better.
it's conspiracy to commit mail-and wire fraud.
The other thing, too, is the modality of which your travel that your payment traveled, I'm not that interested. Like, well, this person's in trouble. Why? Because they put it in the mail. It's like, okay, so if they use a carrier pigeon, it'd be no problemo.
Pigeon
Like,
fraud.
no, once they drop it in the mail, it's a federal crime.
Federal offense.
Now the RICO Act kicks in, and it's like
crazy
because they put it in an envelope. Like, oh no, now we got a serious issue.
Use
This is gonna
what?
affect-
Forever stamp?
This affects parts of Canada now, and it's like, why? Well, they put it in the mail because once it goes in the mail, I'm like, okay, I'm a little more of what they did, not how they got the
there.
message across.
I used to be on this show, World's Dumbest, right? World's Dumbest Criminals.
Right.
And they had security tape of this guy trying to break into a stamp machine. He broke into the stamp machine and got like $1.25 in quarters. But because it was a stamp machine, federal crime. It was like,
right.
That's good stuff.
So the candy machine or the vending machine with the soda pop in it, should we draw such a wild distinction between him getting a Fresca or him getting stamps? But oh no, now we got the feds. And it's like, okay, why are we doing this? Much like the guy showing up at the house with the assault rifles. Like, I don't know. I feel like we could figure out what they did wrong and punish them, but it doesn't matter that they dropped it in the mail.
Hot tip to all the convenience store workers listening, all the gas station owners listening. If you're being robbed, right, put all the money in the bag. Give me the throw in a few stamps. You get the feds involved.
Great idea.
You're gonna get that case
commemorative Elvis stamps.
Yeah, the local cops are gonna hands off.
have a combo hat stamp dispenser. You have to wear that every day to work.
I want to do a TV show called Waiting for a Bus on the Same Bench. And we get the professor who was at the convention who said third floor ladies lingerie, and he got fired from his job. And then we have Ray Rice, and they sit next to each other and they go, what happened? Trouble in an elevator.
Trouble.
What'd you do? Oh man!
Don't get me started. I don't know if I should say it.
I punched out my gal. And so we put them next to each other, right?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna tell you who my next episode is. You got to tell me Felicity Huffman's daughter's name or Lori Laughlin's daughter's name.
Oh.
Daughter's Olivia Jade.
We'll figure that out.
That is her.
I mean, I have
that's
no
her
idea.
stage
Super
name.
creepy
yes.
for you to know. First, I'll tell you about True Car. So if you're waiting for that bus, maybe you need True Car.
I spent about 4.5 hours watching the videos yesterday. So.
True Car, 60 seconds. That's how long this commercial is going to last. What else can you do in 60 seconds? You can get an offer on your car. Just go to True Car. Use your smartphone or your computer. Enter your license plate number and watch your car's details pop up. Answer a few quick questions, and you'll get an accurate true cash offer from your local True Car certified dealer. Then bring your car in. They'll check it out. You can do it together. Ask questions, get answers. No surprises. Then you leave it, or you can trade it in, or you can get a new car, or you can get a used car, or you can walk out of there with cash. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, you check out True Car today. Olivia Jade Gianelli. Yeah. She's on the bench. She's sitting on that bench. She's been booted out of USC.
I think, yeah.
Sitting next to her, member of the Duke lacrosse team. What happened? I got booted out of school.
Oh, girl.
Why'd you
Here
get
ya.
booted out of school? My celebrity mom greased a palm. What'd you do? I was accused of rape by an insane woman who committed suicide later.
And a crooked
Shot her
DA.
boyfriend and a DA who was literally put a target on my back and ran us all out and ruined my life.
I pretended to be a coxswain.
Same.
But yet we ended up on the same bench, didn't
Here
we?
we are.
Here we are.
My family lost everything to pay for my defense. How about you? My mom's in a Lifetime movie.
We're going to be okay.
All right, what else?
All
we
right.
got?
Well, this is breaking as of Wednesday. Fox News reports that President Trump said the FAA will announce the grounding of 2 Boeing 737 MAX jets, one model of which was involved in a fatal Ethiopian Airlines crash, killed 157
Wasn't that
people.
Travolta's kid's name, Max Jess?
77.
Something like that.
727.
Trump said that it's going to be both the Boeing 737 MAX 8 and the MAX 9. They'll be grounded upon landing at their destinations. He said that both pilots and airlines have been notified, and many places.
Like when they land, right now there's a plane full of people, just like.
This is a mid-air announcement. Thank you, folks. This plane has been grounded.
Well, and it's not, and to be specific, they're not like land wherever you can. It's just when you get to your destination, we're taking these out of commission for a while. And many places have taken to grounding these planes or not letting them fly over their airspace everywhere. Europe, China, South Korea,
Is
India.
it an Airbus company who makes these?
Boeing.
Oh, Boeing.
737.
And we were sort of the last.
737,
We were sort of the last to go. The jury's still out. We don't know. And once Canada said, "Do whatever you want, America, but you're not flying over our airspace," we finally said, "Okay, fine." So just to get a little more information on this, because it is still new and it's still a little confusing, here's what aviation analyst Kyle Bailey had to say about the possible systems errors. And he said this on Fox.
It's looking like on this airplane, again, this is just speculation, it's very early. I think the communication between the sensors and the airspeed indicator, which is the pitot tube, and the angle of attack indicator, which basically tells you the climb angle when you're taking off, to prevent a stall. They're communicating. So if the backup system senses an imminent stall, which is the airplane literally will lose lift and part of it will fall out of the sky, a wing will drop and could crash, it will actually do what's called it will push the nose over to increase airspeed. So if that happened, these pilots could have been struggling to pull back on the controls, but you're very low and you have terrain below you.
What about?
And build that well. There's every pundit on everything, even if they're talking about air safety.
Right.
If he's on MSNBC, he's got to end it with the impeach Trump.
Yep.
Thank you. Any more questions about commercial air travel? I'll be ready for you.
Yeah. So if you could hear overall the nerd chanting, he's basically saying that the systems may have just told the plane it was about to go down and made all these corrections, and the pilot's trying to sort of fight with the plane as it's dealing with that.
Well, we're all sort of in that spot in history where we're going, well, what if our smartphone is listening to us? Or what if our car, what if someone else is telling our self-driving car where to go without us? But these planes are getting pretty smart.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of computers running these planes, and a lot of fly-by-wire, as they say. What if some horrible Chinese hackers or something are telling airplanes what to do?
That's what Trump said, right? Wasn't his quote something like, these planes are getting more...
Too complex.
Yeah, too complex.
Like
yeah, more sophisticated, basically, than they need to be.
Well,
in that sense.
To me, the sophistication in a car, in an airplane, it's all great as long as we don't go faster than what we've realized what could happen, which of course we're always going to do from a technological standpoint. We're just going to go, but could somebody hack into the system of the plane and do something, whatever, or hold it hostage, fly it in a circle until you delivered $10 billion.
You're not far off.
That's Die Hard 2.
Far off. Those days are coming.
That's Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
That's the exact plot.
And my Navageddon.
Yeah.
It's getting close.
That's very scary and very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So good news for you, Adam. Your sloth in one area is really paying off.
Thank you.
All the rest, not so much.
So Brian encouraged you, some would say challenged you to watch The Dark Knight. You have not watched it yet, correct?
That's correct.
Good. Don't.
What?
Because I have an even better offer for you. Warner Brothers
is it coming back in IMAX?
announced that all three of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight films will return to 5 IMAX theaters starting right here in LA later this month. The first back-to-back screenings of Batman Begins, that's from 2005, Dark Knight 2008, and The Dark Knight Rises 2012 will take place March 30th at Hollywood's Universal Cinema AMC at City Walk. Christopher Nolan will join the audience for a little Q&A, and the trilogy will then head to New York, then San Francisco, Toronto, Indianapolis. All screenings will feature the footage of Nolan's LA Q&A. All 5 showings will screen on 70 millimeter, which is Nolan's favorite high-resolution format.
You're in for a treat, man. You live kind of, relatively close
go
to
City
Universal.
Walk.
Goes a lot closer to your old house, but still.
Could go to that. So which one should I see?
Dark Knight.
Yep.
You really should see all of them, but
Batman
Dark
Begins.
Knight's the one.
Batman Begins. I would see that one. That's a good way to get your toe in.
They're all good.
Dark
but
Knight will haunt you.
Dark Knight's a damn
Because
masterpiece.
Christopher Nolan takes the very brave stance as a writer, to pretend it's real.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
It's not rocket science. When you write these things, when you write these big movies, step one, pretend it's real and go from there.
I agree.
And that's what's great about Batman Begins. Like, wow, if this was real, this is what a dude would do. It all makes sense. It's wonderful. You're never sitting in the theater going, that could never happen.
It's the most plausible superhero movie ever made. Probably
Absolutely.
the only one.
Okay. I shall watch.
Take the boy.
Let me hit Geico real quick now. Oh, he's going to love it. He wants to see Pulp Fiction.
Sweet.
Wow. I was thinking about the GIMP and how that's going to go.
He won't
Everyone's
get it.
got the to-do list. How about you save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance at Geico? Just go to geico.com. 15 minutes could be saving 15% or more on your auto insurance. Take that extra money, put it in your pocket. It'll be the most rewarding thing you do today. At Geico, that's geico.com. All right, let's do one more, Gina Grad.
All right.
How do I even explain that to him?
He's going to want to be the GIMP for Halloween.
What's a GIMP?
He's also, he sees scary movies and he gets scared that night. So I don't know what the hell a GIMP's going to do to him. All right. Sorry.
Okay. Well, according to a new study, LA has the most aggressive drivers in the nation, and kind of by far. The Gas Buddy app has an opt-in feature that allows you to track your driving habits, and the company analyzed data tracking speeding, hard braking, and swift acceleration. 4 of the top 6 are in California, so we have LA, Sacramento.
Sorry. Can I say, is it this? Is this the deal? So, if you grow up in a house where there's a pantry and plenty of food and mom's making pot roast every other night and everything like that, you don't have this, there's not a sense of desperation
You're a scavenger.
when it comes to food.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have food in my house and I was desperate. And so, on the rare occasion I would show up to somebody, friend of mine, her dad owned 55 McDonald's, and there was a tennis club, and we could go there, and they had a Sunday brunch, and they had a waffle station, and they had an omelet station. And I'd go, give me 28 waffles, give them all to me, and I'd go nuts because it was like, oh my God, never see this again.
Yup.
And I felt that way when I went to my friend's house and I'd open the pantry. It's like, you got instant pudding. Let's make pudding. And they'd be like, we're going to go in the backyard. I go, no, we got to make pudding before your parents come home. Desperate. So when I drive, everyone who drives in LA, it's traffic, more traffic. And then it opens up.
And you go.
And when it opens up, it's like, I gotta make up.
Yup.
I'll never feel this again.
I gotta make up. And also, I'm late because I've been sitting here like a sardine for 45 minutes, and now I gotta go hard.
Yep. I think you're right.
Because like in Montana, you just go drive over there and you drive back. You know, you don't have what time we go. We gotta go hard.
It's amazing. Like you go on the road, you're doing shows everywhere.
Sure.
But when you go to these other towns and you realize how easy it is to get from point A to point B, you're absolutely right. You just
Luxurious.
can kind of mosey over.
Yeah.
Right.
It takes 20 minutes. Mosey on over. But
So
here, man, you got to get while the getting's good.
Yeah, California, we have LA, Sacramento, San Francisco, and San Diego. The other cities around the country that round out the top 10 are Philadelphia, Atlanta, Orlando, Florida, Detroit, Austin, Texas, and Vegas.
Vegas.
I imagine that's the tourist traffic. People driving from LA.
Oh, right. All right, let's bring her home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Oh, Dark Knight sold out.
Oh, hell.
Castrol Edge, that's what I'm going to say. Stronger under pressure. Engines can lose up to 10% of performance due to friction. Castrol Edge transforms with fluid titanium technology. 3 times.
3 times, fool.
Stronger than leading full synthetic against viscosity breakdowns, though against the thinning of the oil. And they did a test, and it is written, and it is said, and it is done. It is Castrol Edge, formulated to exceed the toughest industry standards. All right, I got live shows all over the place. Pomona this weekend. We're doing a car thing there. You guys just go to adamcarolla.com for all that. And also, Indianapolis, the screening is coming up. Deadline is tonight. We've got a few more tickets to sell over Tug, and you can watch my stand-up special live. Also, the Deplorables. That'll be in a few years. The Deplorables tour.
That's when the Expendables get old.
That's right. You can find them in Cincinnati. You can find them in Portland. Where in Michigan was it?
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
This Sunday, my hometown.
And you can go to get tickets at deplorablesshow.com. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. That was fun. And Joey Logano, you can check him out coming up on Fox this Sunday, Fontana Speedway, a very fast track. So, until next time, this is Adam Carolla for Joey Logano, Michael Loftus, and Gina Gradenball. Brian, say it. Mahalo.
Come on, guy. You don't need to do that.
Stick around. Today's episode of Good Sports is coming right up on the Adam Carolla Show. Twitter at Adam Carolla. You can leave us a voicemail at 888-634-1744. Possibly sold out, but if you want to get tickets to this Sunday's screening of Not Talk About Material, go to our website, adamcarolla.com, and stay tuned for AP News.